So it turns out the Galaxy Z Fold 7 is shaping up to be a way bigger upgrade than most of us expected. I've got 3 new major updates you need to know about, so let's get into it. What's up guys, Sal here. So first up, the bezels. Samsung is going all in with the dimensions on the Fold 7. It's gonna be taller, wider, and noticeably thinner than the Fold 6, and not just by a little bit. We're talking record-breaking levels of thinness for a foldable. But it doesn't stop there. Apparently, Samsung also decided that the bezels needed to go on a diet too, because they're now the slimmest we've ever seen on a foldable phone. According to Universe, the bezels on the Z Fold 7 are just 1mm thick. Compare that to the Fold 6's 1.9mm bezels, and yeah, it's a significant cut. Even the Flip 7 is joining the thin bezel club, reportedly getting 1.2mm bezels. But before you get too hyped thinking the entire border is shrinking, let's clarify what bezels Ice is actually referring to here. At first, I thought he meant the thick plastic border around the screen, but nope, that's not what he's talking about. He's referring to the actual black border between the screen and the plastic frame, the real bezel. And that part is already pretty minimal on the Fold 6, but hey, thinner is still better. It makes the front look even more immersive, and let's be honest, it just looks cleaner. Now, if you're wondering just how much of a difference this makes visually, there is a comparison image floating around online that shows the Fold 6 versus Fold 7. It's based on their exact dimensions, and the difference is easy to spot. Both the inner screen and cover screen have noticeably slimmer bezels, and we can also see the big size difference. The inner display has grown from 7.6 inches to 8.2 inches, and you might say it's only 0.6 inch bump diagonally, but the overall surface area grows a lot more than you would expect. The Z Fold 7 basically feels like you're holding a mini tablet now. But let's talk thickness, because that's where things got messy. First, all leaks claimed the Z Fold 7 would be 9.5mm thick when folded and 4.5mm when unfolded. Already slimmer than the Fold 6, which clocks in at 12.1mm folded. Then another leak dropped saying the phone would be just 8.2mm folded, the same thickness as the S25 Ultra, which sounded insane. But now Universe is setting the record straight. The Z Fold 7 will apparently measure 8.9mm folded. Still incredibly thin, just not as extreme as 8.2mm. Now here's where it gets really wild, the unfolded thickness. When opened up, the Z Fold 7 is just 3.9mm thick. That's borderline ridiculous. To put that in perspective, the current thinnest unfolded foldable on the market is the Oppo Find N5 at 4.21mm. So yeah, Samsung beat them by quite a margin. We're now reaching a point where these foldables are nearly as thin as a USB-C port. That's honestly nuts. And remember when Chinese brands used to mock Samsung for making bulky foldables? Yeah, look who's laughing now. There's also a size comparison image that includes all of Samsung's recent foldables, even the special edition model. You can see that the Z Fold 7 is even bigger than the special edition in terms of overall dimensions. That basically confirms OnLeaks' leak was accurate, that the display size is actually 8.2 inches. Safe to say this is the largest display ever put on a foldable. Now here's where things got a little confusing again. Universe mentioned that Samsung is using a new type of battery and charging tech in the Fold 7. He didn't clarify if it's silicon carbon batteries or something else, but he did say it's new. Cool, right? Well, not so fast. Despite the new battery tech, the capacity remains the same, 4400 mAh. That's a bit disappointing. So it looks like Samsung chose to make the battery thinner so they could slim down the phone rather than use that space to bump up the capacity. And while that's impressive from an engineering standpoint, I think a lot of us would have preferred a bit more juice over shaving off another millimeter. As for charging, Ice says there's new charging technology involved, but certification documents still list the same speeds. So what's going on? Is this like one of those faster at the same wattage type of situation? Maybe it's better thermals or improved efficiency. Either way, the charging speed isn't increasing, which is a bit of a letdown. Meanwhile, the Z Flip 7 is getting a 4300 mAh battery. That's only 100 mAh less than the Fold 7 on a device that's almost half the size. How does that make sense? Samsung, help us out here. But despite that, the Z Fold 7 is still a huge upgrade. They're finally giving us the hardware improvements we've been begging for Thinner design, bigger display, slimmer bezels, ultra cameras, creaseless display, and more. If they just squeezed in a larger battery and maybe thrown in a periscope camera, this thing would have been perfect. Still, I'm genuinely excited. This might finally be the foldable that feels like a no-compromise device. I'm planning to upgrade, no doubt. The only question now is, will all these upgrades come with a hefty price hike? Let's hope not. Anyway, Samsung is also set to launch the S25 Edge tomorrow. Click right here to watch my full breakdown and I'll see you there.